I can't believe Vietnam has beaches like these. They are not just beautiful to look at, but many carry heavy history, hidden dangers, or stories most visitors never hear about. From beaches that nearly disappeared, to seas that change color by the hour, to places where beauty always comes at a price. These 15 stories will change the way you see Vietnam's coastline and might be the first time you truly understand why it is so unique. Number 1. Vietnam, a country that can't be understood from the land alone. If you only look at Vietnam from a land map, you see a long, narrow S-shaped strip backed by mountains and facing the sea. But that view tells only half the story. For Vietnamese people, especially communities living along the coast, the land is not the only center of life. The sea exists as a parallel world, deeply tied to livelihoods, memory, and even the spiritual realm. From very early on, the sea has been part of Vietnam's cultural worldview. In the legend of Lac Long Quan and Ao Co, half of their descendants follow their father to the sea, while the other half follow their mother into the mountains. This split is more than myth. It reflects a deep-rooted understanding that land and sea are two inseparable pillars of Vietnamese identity. In many coastal villages, people don't describe themselves as living by the sea, but as people of the sea. The sea is not scenery, it is an environment of existence. Decisions about when to fish, where to build a house, when to marry, even burial dates, all follow the rhythm of the water. From the land, this relationship is almost impossible to see. That's why approaching Vietnam only through its cities, plains, or highlands means missing a crucial layer of identity. The coastline stretching over 3,000 kilometers is not just a tourism asset. It is a living cultural space, home to communities with a very different way of seeing the world. For them, boundaries are not defined by mountains or rivers, but by the horizon where sea meets sky. To see Vietnam from the sea is to see openness, contact, and constant change. Trade, migration, conflict, and cultural exchange have all moved through these waters. Many of Vietnam's biggest historical shifts came from the sea, not the land. Once you understand that, you understand why the sea holds such a special place in the Vietnamese mindset far beyond the idea of landscape. Number 2. Vietnam's coastline isn't as gentle as it looks. Popular images of Vietnam's beaches usually show turquoise water, white sand, blue skies, and a sense of calm. But that's a carefully selected slice. In real life, Vietnam's coastline is complex, unpredictable, and far from gentle beneath its surface beauty. Coastal communities know this well. For them, the sea doesn't just have beautiful seasons, it has dangerous ones. Shifting winds, hidden currents, large waves, and tidal surges can completely reshape a shoreline in a short time. Some beaches last for decades, then vanish after a single storm season. Other stretches seem stable but are quietly eroded day by day. In folk belief, the sea is often treated as a being with a personality. Many fishing villages worship the whale god or sea deities, not out of blind superstition, but as a way of acknowledging and respecting natural power. The sea gives fish and a way to live, but it can also take everything away in one trip offshore. That respect comes from lived experience, not stories passed down without reason. This is why locals see the sea very differently from visitors. A beach that looks peaceful to outsiders may be considered dangerous by fishermen. Rip currents, submerged rocks, and unpredictable winds are things locals constantly watch for, while photos only capture the calm surface. Vietnam's coastline is also on the front line of climate change. Rising sea levels, extreme weather, and human interference have made many coastal areas more fragile than ever. This adds another layer of uncertainty to coastal life, one rarely mentioned in travel narratives. That lack of gentleness is exactly what gives Vietnam's sea its depth. It's not just a place to relax, but a space of challenge, adaptation, and memory. Understanding this is the first step toward seeing Vietnam's beaches not only as beautiful, but as alive and layered. Number 3. Sao Beach in Phu Quoc. Sand that's more than just for show. Bai Sao is widely known as one of the beaches with the most striking sand in Vietnam. Visitors usually notice the white color first, but what makes this sand truly unusual is its physical structure and how it interacts with the environment. For local residents, Bai Sao's sand is not simply decoration for tourism. It is part of a natural system that directly influences how people live along the shoreline. The sand at Bai Sao formed over thousands of years from crushed shells, coral fragments, and marine organisms. This process created grains that are extremely fine and light. Because of this composition, the sand feels softer and cooler under sunlight compared to typical coastal sand in Southeast Asia. Older fishermen often say they could identify Bai Sao's sand just by touching it. The texture tells them about the health of the shoreline and the stability of the seabed. For coastal communities, sand is not passive material. It affects how boats land and how coastal houses are protected from waves. When sand remains stable, it helps absorb wave energy and slows erosion. When the sand structure changes, waves reach inland faster and cause damage more easily. In recent years, locals have quietly discussed how certain areas of Bai Sao have shown subtle sand loss. They do not always see it as environmental activism. They see it as a warning sign that the sea is adjusting its balance. Culturally, Bai Sao's sand holds memory. Children play along the waterline, and fishermen drag nets across the shore during early morning hours. Small village gatherings often happen where the sand meets the tide. Even as tourism expanded, many of these everyday routines continued. They create a connection between the landscape and local identity that is not immediately visible to visitors. Scientists studying coastal sediment in southern Vietnam have noted that ultrafine sand like Bai Sao's can move faster under strong currents than heavier sand types. This means the beach can reshape itself more quickly during seasonal monsoon shifts, which partly explains why certain sections of Bai Sao look slightly different every few years. Locals may not use scientific terminology, but they understand this through observation. They expect the shoreline to change gradually rather than remain permanent. Another lesser-known detail is that Bai Sao's sand reflects sunlight differently due to its high calcium carbonate content. This reflection reduces surface heat, which historically made the beach a preferred resting place for fishermen repairing nets during midday when temperatures inland became extreme. What makes Bai Sao memorable is not simply its visual beauty. The beach represents a relationship between land, sea, and human adaptation. The sand appears quiet and lifeless, yet it controls shoreline stability, cultural habits, and even work routines. Understanding Bai Sao requires looking beyond appearance and recognizing how a small natural element can shape an entire coastal way of life. Number 4. Kai Ko Beach in Bin Din, a sea that never stays the same color. Kiko is known for water that visibly changes color throughout the day. In the early morning, the sea appears pale blue. By midday, it shifts toward jade green. In the afternoon, sunlight deepens the surface into darker tones. To visitors, this feels like a visual surprise. To locals in Non-Li, it is simply how the sea behaves. These color changes follow clear physical rules. Kiko is shaped like a shallow bay, with uneven seabed depth and light-colored sand mixed with rocky patches. As sunlight hits the water at different angles, it reflects off these layers differently. Even small cloud movements can alter how the water looks. Locals often say the sea here shows the sky more honestly than elsewhere. For fishermen, color is practical information. Pale water usually means calm conditions near shore. Darker or greener shades can signal shifting currents or incoming wind. Some older fishermen still teach younger crews to delay departure if the water darkens too quickly before noon, treating it as an early warning sign rather than coincidence. In local thinking, the sea is not stable or predictable, and that is accepted. Elders describe Kiko as having its own rhythm, changing mood with seasons rather than with human schedules. The sea is neither gentle nor hostile by default. It is simply suitable or unsuitable at specific moments. Tourism and daily life coexist here without fully blending. Visitors come to photograph watercolors. Locals continue nearshore fishing, seaweed harvesting, and small-scale aquaculture. At certain hours, boats avoid popular swimming areas not because of rules, but because experienced fishermen know how color shifts affect underwater visibility and safety. What makes Kaiko memorable is not just beauty, but education. It teaches that nature is not fixed. The sea is a moving system, constantly responding to light, wind, and depth. Those who understand this do not just admire Kikoan, they learn how to read it. Number 5. Con Dao, the most beautiful and heaviest sea. Con Dao is often described through two parallel images: clear blue sea and heavy historical memory. These two elements do not exist separately. They overlap in everyday life and shape how both locals and visitors experience the island. The sea here is calm, restrained, and visually striking, but it rarely feels carefree. For residents, the sea is not just a natural resource. It is tied directly to history. Many coastal areas once marked the final boundary for prisoners who were exiled and detained here. Even today, locals speak about certain beaches with careful language, referring to them by function rather than appearance. The water that looks peaceful now once represented isolation and loss. Spiritual life in Con Dao reflects this coexistence. Fishing, swimming, and daily routines continue as normal, but remembrance rituals take place alongside them. Lighting incense near the shoreline is common, especially during certain lunar periods. This is not driven by fear or superstition, but by acknowledgement. The sea is treated as a witness rather than a backdrop. A lesser-known detail is that some fishing families avoid changing traditional boat routes near former prison zones, even though modern navigation allows it. This choice is symbolic, preserving invisible boundaries drawn by memory rather than geography. Visitors often notice how quiet Con Dao feels, even on its most beautiful beaches. This quietness is not enforced. It emerges naturally. The island does not encourage loud tourism. Many long-term visitors report lowering their voices unconsciously near the water, sensing that the environment demands restraint. Marine researchers have also noted that Con Dao's relatively limited coastal development has helped preserve coral systems close to shore, making it one of the few places where historical protection and ecological preservation unintentionally align. Con Dao demonstrates that beauty can carry weight. The sea here is not light or playful. It slows people down and forces attention. That heaviness is not a weakness. It is what makes the experience unforgettable and impossible to consume casually. Number 6. Mui Ne Beach, where the sea meets the desert. Mui Ne is not a beach people come to simply to swim. The sea here is rarely calm, rarely gentle, and almost never predictable. Strong winds blow year-round. Waves rise suddenly, and the watercolor shifts constantly depending on light, season, and sand stirred from the seabed. Yet it is precisely this instability that makes Mui Ne one of the most unusual coastal landscapes in Vietnam. What defines Mui Ne is not just the sea, but the way the sea exists beside something that should not be here at all: vast sand dunes. Along this stretch of coast, desert-like terrain presses right up against the shoreline. Red sand, white sand, scorching sun, and salty wind coexist in a way that feels geographically misplaced. For locals, this contrast is not a spectacle, it is daily reality. Historically, Mui Ne belonged to a dry coastal region shaped by monsoon winds and minimal rainfall. The Champa civilization once occupied these lands, adapting to harsh natural conditions rather than resisting them. Even today, older residents describe the area not as beautiful, but as severe. Fishing communities learned to read the wind as carefully as the tides, knowing when the sea would be generous and when it would punish carelessness. The sand dunes themselves are not static, they move. Entire contours shift over months, sometimes weeks, reshaped by wind patterns that never truly rest. Locals speak of dunes walking, swallowing old paths and revealing new ones. This constant movement reinforces a central truth about Mui Ne. Nothing here is fixed, not the land, not the sea, not the livelihood tied to them. Tourists often frame Mui Ne as a place of extremes, kitesurfing winds, blazing heat, surreal landscapes. But for residents, the relationship is more restrained. The sea provides fish, but also takes boats. The sand draws visitors, but also erodes homes and roads. Beauty here is never free. It comes attached to effort, risk, and endurance. Mui Ne's value lies in this uneasy balance. It is one of the rare places in Vietnam where the coast does not promise comfort, only coexistence. The sea does not soften the land, and the land does not tame the sea. They meet, collide, and continue unresolved. Number 7. An Bang Beach in Hoi An, a beach that almost disappeared. An Bang Beach was never meant to survive in its current form. For years, locals believed it would vanish entirely. Waves crept closer, season by season, swallowing sand, collapsing coconut trees, and erasing what little coastline existed. At one point, entire sections of the beach simply disappeared, leaving seawater crashing directly into village edges. Located just outside Hoi An, An Bang sits in a fragile coastal zone where river systems, sea currents, and monsoon storms intersect. Unlike postcard beaches with stable shorelines, An Bang exists in constant negotiation with erosion. The sea here does not retreat politely. It advances, retreats, and returns stronger. For fishermen who lived along this coast, the loss of the beach was not symbolic, it was practical. Boats had nowhere to land safely. Nets were damaged by stronger waves. Burial grounds near the shore were exposed. In Vietnamese coastal belief systems, land lost to the sea is often seen not as punishment, but as imbalanced nature correcting something out of alignment. Rather than abandoning the area, the community adapted. Temporary sea barriers were built, removed, and rebuilt. Sand was replenished repeatedly, sometimes washed away within months. There was no illusion of permanence. Locals learned to treat the beach as something borrowed, not owned. When An Bang began attracting visitors, its appeal was not luxury but intimacy. Small cafes, low chairs, unpolished spaces. Nothing too heavy, nothing too fixed. Even buildings were constructed with the understanding that the sea might one day reclaim the land beneath them. This mindset shaped the atmosphere, relaxed, transient, unforced. What makes An Bang culturally distinct is this acceptance of impermanence. While many beaches attempt to dominate the coastline with concrete and permanence, An Bang remains intentionally light. Locals often say the beach is still deciding whether it wants to stay. Today, An Bang appears calm, almost stable. But the memory of loss lingers beneath the surface. Every storm season is watched closely. Every tide is read carefully. The beach exists not as a guaranteed landscape, but as a temporary agreement between humans and the sea. An Bang's story is not about recovery. It is about restraint, a place that survived not by conquering erosion, but by learning how to live with the possibility of disappearance. Number 8. Bicep Beach in Phu Yen, a sea scarred by the earth. Bicep does not immediately announce itself as a dramatic place. There are no towering resorts, no long stretches of uninterrupted white sand, and no obvious spectacle at first glance. Yet this small beach in Phu Yen carries a geological story that quietly separates it from most coastal landscapes in Vietnam. Unlike beaches formed purely by sediment and river deposits, Bicep sits on a foundation of ancient volcanic basalt. Black, jagged rock formations cut directly into the shoreline, interrupting the sand in irregular patterns. These rocks are not decorative accidents. They are the visible scars of tectonic movement and volcanic activity that shaped the Central Coast millions of years ago. The land here did not gently emerge. It fractured, hardened, and remained exposed. For local fishermen, these rocks are not obstacles, but reference points. The underwater terrain mirrors the surface, creating channels, sudden depth changes, and calm pockets amid stronger currents. Older residents describe the sea here as uneven, not dangerous, but demanding attention. Fishing at Bicep requires knowing where the seabed breaks, where waves rebound, and where the water suddenly deepens. Culturally, the relationship with the coastline is quiet and practical. Small shrines appear near rocky outcrops, often unmarked and unattended. These are not tourist landmarks, but gestures of acknowledgement, simple offerings asking for safe returns rather than abundant catches. In local belief, fractured land must be treated with restraint. The rocks are seen as anchors, holding the sea back just enough to allow human presence. Visitors often photograph Bicep for its contrast: green grass, dark stone, pale sand, and blue water compressed into a narrow frame. But for those who live nearby, the beach represents something less aesthetic and more elemental. It is a reminder that beauty here was born from rupture, not harmony. Bicep's value lies in its honesty. It does not hide the forces that formed it. The land shows its breaks openly, and the sea responds accordingly. This quiet exposure to geological time makes Bicep memorable not as a perfect beach, but as a place where the Earth's history remains visibly unfinished. Number 9. Lai Sun, swimming above a volcano. Lai Sun is one of the few places in Vietnam where swimming in the sea means floating directly above ancient volcanic formations. The island was shaped by multiple eruptions thousands of years ago, leaving behind layers of basalt rock, lava cliffs, and underwater volcanic structures that still define its coastline today. Unlike sandy beaches formed by river sediment, Lai Sun's shores are the result of geological violence, not gradual accumulation. This volcanic origin changes everything. The water around Lai Sun appears unusually clear and deep-toned because the seabed drops quickly and reflects darker basalt rock instead of pale sand. Locals can often tell how deep the water is just by its color. Dark blue means sharp rock and sudden depth. Lighter patches suggest shallower lava platforms where fishing nets can be safely set. For island residents, the volcano is not just history, it is part of everyday logic. Farming is difficult because the soil is thin and rocky. Fresh water is limited. That forced generations to rely heavily on the sea, not only for food, but for identity. Many families trace their ancestry through fishing routes rather than land ownership. The sea and the volcano are seen as one system, not separate elements. In local belief, The island is considered restless land. Elders describe Lai Sun as a place that must be listened to carefully. Sudden changes in wind, currents, or wave patterns are taken seriously. This is not superstition, but a survival mindset shaped by living on unstable ground. When you live on an island born from eruption, stability is never assumed. Cultural rituals on Lai Sun often take place at sites where rock, water, and human activity intersect. Temples are built facing both the sea and volcanic cliffs. Ceremonies honor sailors who never returned and ancestors who cultivated garlic on land that resisted being tamed. The landscape teaches restraint rather than dominance. What makes Lai Sun truly different is that the sea here carries geological memory. Swimming is not just recreation, it is contact with deep time. Every wave passes over hardened lava that once flowed violently. That awareness gives the island a gravity rarely felt on more conventional beaches. Lai Sun is not soft or welcoming in the usual sense, but its beauty lies in honesty. The island never hides what it is. It shows that the sea is not always gentle and land is not always safe. And that truth is exactly what makes Lai Sun unforgettable. Number 10. Con Dao, Vietnam's most beautiful beaches beside a cemetery. In many parts of the world, beaches are designed to help people forget. Con Dao does the opposite. Here, some of Vietnam's most beautiful beaches exist only minutes away from Hang Duong Cemetery, one of the country's most important memorial sites. The proximity is not symbolic, it is physical, unavoidable, and deeply unsettling for first-time visitors. Hang Duong Cemetery holds the remains of tens of thousands of political prisoners who were detained, exiled, and executed during colonial and wartime periods. The sea beside it once marked the edge of isolation. For many prisoners, it was the last thing they saw, a horizon that represented freedom they would never reach. Locals do not separate the cemetery from the coastline. Morning swims and evening incense offerings exist in the same daily rhythm. This is not contradiction, it is acceptance. Life continues, but memory is never removed. The sea does not erase history, it stands next to it. This shapes how Con Dao's beaches are experienced. The atmosphere is noticeably quiet. Even at popular spots, noise feels out of place. Visitors often lower their voices without being told. The environment itself sets the tone. Beauty here does not invite celebration. It encourages reflection. For residents, the sea is both livelihood and witness. Fishing, swimming, and tourism coexist with remembrance. Many families have personal connections to the island's past, either through ancestors or inherited stories. That history adds weight to the landscape. The water may be clear, but it is never light. There is no mythology exaggerating the pain, no dramatization, just a shared understanding that this land carries consequence. That awareness affects development decisions, behavior, and even how people talk about Con Dao. It is rarely described as a paradise. It is described as meaningful. What makes Con Dao exceptional is not contrast, but continuity. The sea did not replace memory, it grew beside it. And that creates a rare type of coastal space where beauty demands respect rather than consumption. Con Dao shows that some beaches are not meant to help you escape life. They are meant to remind you of it. The sea here is stunning, but it is heavy, and that weight is precisely why it stays with you long after you leave. Number 11. Lang Co, a paradise linked to dangerous roads. Lang Co is often introduced as a perfect coastal scene. A long curved bay, calm blue water, and mountains rising directly behind the shoreline. On camera, it looks peaceful and effortless. But for people who live there, Lang Co is inseparable from Hai Van Pass, one of the most dangerous mountain roads in central Vietnam, running just above the beach. Hai Van Pass is famous for its views, but it is also known for sudden weather changes, sharp turns, fog, landslides, and a long history of traffic accidents. For locals, the sound of engines struggling uphill and emergency sirens is part of daily life. The beauty below and the danger above exist at the same time. This connection shapes how Lang Co is perceived. The sea is not seen as an escape from hardship. It sits under constant reminder that movement through this landscape demands attention. Many families depend on fishing, small tourism services, or roadside trade, all of which are influenced by the flow of traffic over the pass. When the road closes due to storms or accidents, life slows immediately. In local thinking, Lang Co's beauty is not gentle. Even on calm days, elders warn against complacency. The mountains create sudden winds. Rain can appear without warning. The road teaches a lesson that locals apply to the sea as well. Never assume safety just because something looks calm. Culturally, There is little romantic storytelling attached to Lang Co. No legends promising protection or abundance. Instead, there is a quiet respect for terrain. People learn to read clouds over the mountains and wave patterns near the shore. Survival comes from awareness, not belief. For visitors, Lang Co often feels like a reward after crossing Hai Ven Pass. For locals, the pass is not a journey, but a constant presence. It brings opportunity and risk in equal measure. The beach does not cancel out the danger. It coexists with it. Lang Co is memorable because it exposes a truth rarely shown in travel content. Some of the most beautiful coastal places exist in landscapes that do not prioritize human comfort. Sea, mountains, and roads follow their own logic. People adapt or they leave. The beauty of Lang Co is real, but it is not passive. It demands patience, caution, and respect. And that makes it more honest than most postcard-perfect beaches. Number 12. Bin Ba. Beauty preserved by being closed off. For many years, Bin Ba Island was not a tourist destination. Access was limited, movement was controlled, and information about the island rarely appeared in travel media. While this restriction was not designed for conservation, it unintentionally protected the island's coastline from early overdevelopment. During that period, the sea remained clear, coral systems stayed relatively intact, and fishing practices followed traditional rhythms. Lobster farming became the island's economic backbone, shaping daily routines and social structure. The sea was not scenery, it was work. When restrictions eased and visitors arrived, Bin Ba appeared unusually well preserved compared to other beaches discovered earlier. This surprised many outsiders, but locals understood why. The island had time without pressure, without mass construction, without constant extraction. For residents, beauty was never the goal. Function was. Boats needed safe anchorage. Water quality mattered because it affected lobster health. Waste could not be ignored because the island's ecosystem is closed and fragile. Fame arrived later, and with it came concern. Culturally, Bin Ba does not celebrate its beauty loudly. There are no strong myths or symbolic narratives attached to the sea. Instead, there is a practical mindset shaped by dependence. People know exactly how quickly things can change if balance is lost. What makes Bin Ba important is not that it is untouched, but that it was untouched long enough to show another development path. It demonstrates that delayed exposure can sometimes be more effective than protection policies. Today, the island stands at a threshold. Tourism brings income, but also risk. Locals are aware that what visitors admire now is not guaranteed. It exists because the island was once overlooked. Bin Ba reminds us that some coastal beauty survives not because it was protected, but because it was left alone. And once discovered, the real challenge begins. Number 13. The uncomfortable truth. Vietnam's most beautiful beaches aren't where the rich live. A rarely stated reality of Vietnam's coastline is this. Many of the country's most beautiful beaches are not located near wealthy communities. Instead, they often sit beside fishing villages, marginal land, or places where life depends directly on unpredictable natural conditions. For people living there, the sea is not a luxury. It is labor, risk, and seasonal uncertainty. Storms erase income. Bad fishing months affect entire families. Beauty exists, but it does not translate into comfort. This creates a quiet contradiction. Visitors admire clear water and open horizons, while locals focus on tides, fuel costs, and weather patterns. The same sea serves completely different meanings depending on who is looking at it. Culturally, coastal communities in Vietnam rarely exaggerate their relationship with the sea. There is no sense of ownership or pride in exclusivity. Instead, there is acceptance. The sea gives, and it takes. Talking about it too romantically feels dishonest. This attitude has unintentionally preserved many beaches. Without rapid wealth accumulation, large-scale development was slower. Daily life remained primary, and scenery stayed secondary. The beach remained a working space, not a product. When wealth eventually arrives, landscapes change quickly. Resorts replace boats. Access narrows. The rhythm shifts. This is why many of Vietnam's most visually striking beaches feel more authentic before prosperity arrives. The value of these beaches lies in their lived nature. They are not designed to impress. They function first, and beauty appears as a byproduct. Vietnam's coastline is shaped as much by economic reality as by geology. Understanding this makes the sea more than an image. It reveals a relationship between beauty and inequality that travel content often avoids. These beaches matter not because they are perfect, but because they are real, and that reality is what gives them depth. Number 14. Vietnam's sea is most beautiful on imperfect days. Vietnam's sea rarely reveals its true character on perfect days. When the sky is clear, the sun is strong, and the water looks evenly blue, the coastline can appear similar to many tropical destinations. But locals know that those are not the days when the sea is at its most meaningful. The real beauty appears on imperfect days, when conditions shift and the landscape refuses to stay still. Cloudy mornings soften the light and allow subtle colors to surface. The water changes tone depending on depth, currents, and cloud movement. Gentle winds create uneven waves that break the mirror-like surface of the sea. These changes reveal structure, movement, and depth that disappear under harsh sunlight. For coastal communities, imperfection is not a flaw, it is information. Fishermen pay attention to small variations in wave size, water color, and wind direction. A sea that changes is a sea that communicates. Long periods of absolute calm can actually cause concern, as they may signal unstable weather ahead. In local thinking, a sea that looks different every hour is considered alive. Predictability is not admired. Responsiveness is. This mindset comes from generations of observing patterns rather than expecting control. The sea is not something to be scheduled or optimized. It is something to be watched. Visitors often chase ideal conditions for photography or swimming. Locals prefer early hours, transitional light, and moments when the sea feels unsettled but readable. Those are the times when stories emerge. A passing cloud alters the water. A brief wind changes the current. Each shift adds another layer to the experience. Culturally, this acceptance of imperfection extends beyond the sea. Vietnamese coastal life values adjustment over domination. Homes are built to adapt to storms. Fishing schedules follow the sea, not the clock. Beauty is not frozen into one image. It exists through variation. Vietnam's coastline stands out because it resists a single perfect moment. It offers a sequence instead. Those who stay longer begin to notice patterns. They stop waiting for ideal conditions and start paying attention. The sea here does not reward impatience. It reveals itself gradually through change rather than clarity. That is why its most powerful moments are rarely captured in postcards. Vietnam's sea is not beautiful because it is flawless. It is beautiful because it is honest, and honesty rarely appears under perfect conditions. Number 15. What makes Vietnam's sea different? Every beauty comes at a price. The defining quality of Vietnam's sea is not its color, clarity, or variety. It is the presence of cost. Every beautiful coastline in Vietnam carries an invisible price, whether it is historical, social, environmental, or cultural. The sea here is never free of consequence. In some places, the cost was paid through war, exile, and loss. In others, it came through difficult livelihoods shaped by storms and uncertainty. Even in areas that appear untouched, the cost often takes the form of restraint, delayed development, or conscious limitation. For coastal communities, this relationship is understood intuitively. The sea provides food and income, but it also demands attention and sacrifice. Overuse leads to decline. Ignoring warning signs leads to disaster. Balance is not philosophical, it is practical. This awareness shapes behavior. Locals rarely treat the sea as entertainment alone. Swimming, fishing, worship, and remembrance exist in the same spaces. The sea is part of daily responsibility, not an escape from it. Travel narratives often separate beauty from difficulty. Vietnam's coastline does not allow that separation. Memory and scenery exist side by side. Economic need and natural wonder overlap. This creates depth that cannot be simplified. Many beaches remain striking precisely because something was given up. A resort was not built, a coastline was not reshaped. A place was allowed to remain difficult. That difficulty preserved character. The sea also reflects national history. It borders trade routes, migration paths, and conflict zones. It absorbed movement, loss, and return. Standing at the shoreline means standing at the edge of collective experience. What makes Vietnam's sea different is not that it hides this complexity, but that it shows it openly. The water does not erase what happened nearby. It carries it quietly. This is why Vietnam's coastline stays with people, not because it offers escape, but because it asks for awareness. The sea here does not promise ease, it offers understanding. And that understanding is the highest price and the greatest value the sea can offer. These 15 stories reveal that Vietnam's sea is not just beautiful, but layered with history, risk, memory, and sacrifice. Each beach is more than a destination. It is a living space shaped by people and consequence. If this video gave you a deeper understanding of Vietnam, don't forget to like it to support the channel. And subscribe for more journeys that go beyond the surface and into the stories most people never hear.